This building is almost a century and a half old. It suffered weathering, it suffered from poor maintenance, it suffered from the usual wear and tear and some incredibly botched jobs. So all in all, it's an old building. It needs a bit more than TLC. And it's wonderful that we've got these superb local people to do it. John West and Wells Cathedral Stonemasons. These are not only local, but they are people who are passionate about it and they really understand stone. When this project is completed, Hans Fowler Price will be so pleased with what we've achieved.
The work in the tower was, I think if we'd left it another year, the top of the tower wouldn't have been there. The water ingress had rotted out a lot of the timbers that were holding the roof, which you would have lost the roof, and by losing the roof you would have lost both the north and south gable. So the remedial works we've done inside and structural works have been quite extensive. Very rigid now, and working with Wells Cathedral Stones and the structural engineer, we dropped the two faces of the gable to the plinths, removed them completely, and it's been completely rebuilt up on the front. And on the so that's the north and the south elevation have been rebuilt, and you'll have new leadwork and existing tiles to go back on, so it keeps the character of the building. We've added two new statues to the front of the building because the ones that were there were so badly eroded, and they're sympathetic with the age of the building, showing a Victorian boy and a Victorian girl.
My name is Ryan Brunt and I work for Wells Cathedral Stonemasons. Some projects that we've done have been sending work stone over to the United States. We've worked for a private client in Norway. We work on Kensington Palace. A lot of stonework in London we work on. And obviously around the Somerset area on churches. Some of the challenges we've had with this building is that it was in really bad condition. I've actually never seen stone corroded as badly as that. I'm not 100% sure it was just the weather. I think there may have been some sort of chemical cleaning put on it back in the earlier days. So we've gone through the method of cutting out pieces of stone, replacing them, but because the whole facade was bad, we've actually then put a mortar repair all over it and then shelter coated it as well to give it extra protection. So the research for creating the two figures on the tower, because they were so badly corroded, we looked in all the archives. Everyone's been so helpful, but there was no records of them. So we've basically done a little boy and a little girl dressed up in their Victorian clothes.
So initially, when we first got the project, one of the first events to happen was to get the main structural scaffold up the front and around the tower to assess it. Previously just done by a drone, but to be up close to it, you could see how badly the building had eroded with the height, because when you're up at that height, you suddenly realise you're looking straight out the steeple and there's nothing between you and the sea. So the building takes the full brunt of the weather. And with close work with the architect and the structural engineer, it was deemed that we had to take the north and south gable down because they'd deteriorated and were out of plumb, which is not level, and had to be rebuilded. And so what we did, we involved Wells Cathedral Stonemasons who came to site, and they draw the complete structure. So that's known as mapping, and then they measure the size of the stones and the width of the gable, and then replicate that in their yard in Wells, and then brought to site. And over the last 6 weeks, we've reinstated them, had all the stone lifted up, and the masons have rebuilt it, and we've incorporated the new structural roof into it. The existing roof is still there. It's still in a very good condition. It's only deteriorated where the water got in, and we've replaced those elements. So the front elevation all the way down on the front, again, working with Wells, they surveyed and detected areas of stone that had gone past their sell-by date, really. So they've been carefully cut out, and exact replicas have been made and reinstated. So there's elements like some of the balcony rails, some of the window rails, and they're just gently worked their way down through the front of the building, being sympathetic to keep in line with conservation, which is to try and keep as much of the original fabric of the building together as one.
It's nice to work on a building in Weston, as I live in Weston myself, so I drive by daily and I can see it. So it's really nice to show my children in the future.